The galactic Senate chamber hummed with the low-frequency chatter of 100 species, their voices blending into a dissonant chorus of clicks, growls, and modulated harmonics. ZYX of the Volar consensus stood before the assembly, their mandibles twitching in irritation as the newly projected star map flickered above the central holo display. It was a masterpiece of cartography. Every known system, every trade route, every minor colony meticulously charted, except for one glaring omission. Esteemed delegates, ZYX began, their voice sharp with forced patience. This map is incomplete. Human space remains blank, not unexplored. Asterisk array starred. A ripple of unease passed through the chamber. The Tarkin ambassadors shifted uncomfortably, their armored plates clinking. The Yithian envoy averted its compound eyes. ZYX pressed on. For 3 cycles, I petitioned for access to human space navigational data. Every request is denied. Every query met with silence. Why? High Admiral Kesh of the Draxian fleet exhaled through his nasal vents, the sound like steam escaping a pressure valve. Some borders exist for a reason. Cartographer. That is not an answer. It is the only one you will get. Kesh's voice carried the weight of finality. ZYX's frustration boiled over. Then I will find my own. The archives yielded nothing. Every record of human space had been sanitized, not just classified, but excised, as though the very idea of it was forbidden. Even historical trade agreements bore gaps where human signatures should have been. ZYX's assistant, a nervous little Cree, wrung their appendages. Perhaps it is best left alone? No. ZYX loaded the coordinates into their ship's NAV computer. If the Senate fears knowledge, then knowledge is exactly what we need. The jump was routine. The exit from warp was not. One moment, the stars streaked past in luminous ribbons. The next, silence. Absolute, suffocating silence. The sensors screamed in protest. No stellar radiation. No back. The voice echoed through the ship's corridors, too clear to be an artifact, too close to be external. ZYX's claws dug into the console as they scanned the internal diagnostics. No life signs, no intruders. Just the empty vessel and that impossible voice. Asterisk, turn back. Asterisk, the NAV computer flickered. Coordinates shifted on their own, recalculating a route out of human space. ZYX overrode the system, fingers trembling. Identify yourself. Silence. Then laughter. Soft, human, and utterly without warmth. The external sensors finally registered something, a structure floating in the void. No energy signatures, no propulsion, just a derelict human cruiser, its hull pocked with age but intact, as if time had refused to touch it. ZYX docked. The airlock hissed open to reveal a ship frozen in a moment. Cups of coffee sat half-finished on tables. Datapads glowed with unfinished reports. A child drawing was pinned to a bulkhead, smiling stick figures under a yellow sun. And no crew. The ship's logs were worse. The last entry was dated 217 years ago. A captain's voice, ragged with panic. Asterisk, they don't die. They don't die. They don't. Asterisk. The recording cut to static. ZYX's breath fogged in the suddenly frigid air. The temperature wasn't dropping. They were. A shadow moved in the corridor. ZYX spun, sidearm raised. Nothing there. But the child drawing was now different. The stick figures had no faces. The ship's AI awoke with a scream of feedback. Wrong, wrong, wrong. ZYX ran. The airlock sealed behind them, just as something knocked from the other side. Not a fist, not a tool. 3 slow, deliberate taps, like a human politely asking to be let in. The escape was too easy. ZYX's ship tore through the void, engines burning at unsafe levels. But nothing pursued them. No human vessels. No phantom signals. Just the endless, mocking silence of space. Then the Draxian fleet appeared. Not just patrol ships. Warships. Battle-scarred dreadnoughts locked onto ZYX's vessel with targeting arrays that glowed like predators' eyes. Kesha's face filled the view screen, his scales dull with exhaustion. "You stupid, stupid child." ZYX's protest died in their throat. The Admiral wasn't angry. He was terrified. "You cross a border." Kesha's voice dropped to a whisper. "Did you see them?" ZYX hesitated. The derelict ship. The voice. The thing that knocked. No humans. Just remnants. Kesh closed his eyes. That's how it starts. The debriefing was a farce. ZYX sat in a sealed chamber aboard Kesh's flagship while the Admiral paced. The air stank of ozone and fear. 200 years ago, Kesh began, humans were just another species. Clever, aggressive, but mortal. Then they changed. Records flickered to life. Ancient footage of human scientists working on something massive. Something wrong. A machine that twisted light around it. Their immortality project. Kesh spat. It worked. Too well. The video showed the first test subject, a human volunteer. One moment alive. The next, still alive, but different. The subject smiled at the researchers. Then the feed cut to static. Kesh's claws scraped the table. They stopped dying. Then they stopped existing properly, phasing in and out of reality, remembering things that hadn't happened yet. ZYX's skin crawled. Why erase them from history? Because they asked us to. Kesh's laugh was hollow. The last sane humans came to us begging, said they were becoming something other, that they needed to be forgotten before they corrupted causality itself. A proximity alarm blared. On the view screen, space rippled. Something was coming. Something old. The stars twisted. Space itself convulsed like a living thing in pain. Every alarm on the Draxian flagship shrieked as reality fractured along invisible seams. Then it emerged. Not a ship, not a structure, a presence. An obsidian monolith etched with geometries that hurt to observe. It pulsed with a rhythm too slow to be mechanical, too deliberate to be organic. Kesh's voice cracked. Battle stations. The monolith blinked. Every weapon system in the fleet went dead. Lights dimmed. Gravity fluctuated. The Draxian Admiral floated momentarily before crashing back into his chair. A human figure materialized on the bridge. Not a hologram. Not a projection. A man in a faded blue uniform. His face both youthful and impossibly ancient. He smelled of ozone and old books. "Admiral." The human nodded politely. "You weren't supposed to remember." ZYX's translator failed. The words weren't in any language, just meaning forced directly into their brain. Kesh bared his fangs. "Were you?" The human smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "An echo. A custodian. We've been tidying up." He gestured, and the view screen displayed 1 trillion data points. Every unauthorized incursion into human space. Every attempt to document them. Every whispered rumor. Each record dissolved as they watched. "You see the problem," the human continued. "We don't obey time anymore. Don't obey physics. When we remember something, it changes." His form flickered. For a second, ZYX saw something beneath the skin, something made of light and screaming equations. "So we asked you to forget us. For your own good. ZYX found their voice. The derelict ship. Still there. Always there. Every possible version of it. All at once. The human side. We tried to die. Couldn't. Tried to leave. The universe wouldn't let us. Silence. Kesh lowered his weapon. What now? The human's form began dissolving. Now we fix your memories. Again. ZYX lunged forward. Wait. At least tell me. Fingers brushed their forehead. Darkness. ZYX awoke in the Senate chamber. The hollow map shimmered above them, pristine and complete. The Tarkin ambassador grumbled about wasted time. The Yithian envoy clicked approvingly. No one mentioned human space. No one even seemed to notice the blank spot on the map. The maintenance worker's wink haunted ZYX. That single gesture carried more weight than any Senate decree, more truth than all the sanitized archives in the galaxy. ZYX's hands trembled as they accessed private terminals, bypassing security protocols with a cartographer's precision. The system resisted, throwing up firewalls and encryption barriers, but something helped. Files opened without authorization. Classified documents appeared unbidden. The screen filled with fragmented reports. Asterisk, Incident 442 Alpha. Human research vessel reappeared after 300 years missing. Crew reported no time passage. Ship's chronometer matched disappearance date. Asterisk, security footage from Outpost Gamma. Human ambassador visible in background of historical signing ceremony. Ambassador died 50 years prior to event. Asterisk warning. Human artifacts demonstrate retroactive existence. Objects documented before their creation. Asterisk. A shadow fell across the terminal. ZYX spun to see the same maintenance worker leaning against a doorway, arms crossed. His uniform was wrong. The fabric too coarse. The insignia from a pre-FTL era. You're persistent, the human said. His voice carried the weight of centuries. Most species learn to stop digging. ZYX's vocalizer crackled with static. Why show yourself to me? The human's smile didn't reach his eyes. Because you saw, really saw, that changes things. He pushed off the wall, and the room's lighting bent around him. The data chip burned in ZYX's grasp like a dying star. Every instinct screamed to destroy it, to pretend none of this ever happened. But the cartographer's curiosity, that relentless need to know, overpowered fear. ZYX inserted the chip. The projection exploded outward, engulfing the room in starlight. Not a recording, not a simulation. A bridge. Suddenly, ZYX stood on an observation deck overlooking Earth, but wrong. The continents shifted in impossible configurations, cities flickering between ruins and gleaming metropolises. The sky pulsed with spacecraft using propulsion methods that defied physics. You're the first in 7 generations to come this far. The maintenance worker stood beside ZYX, now clad in a uniform woven for what appeared to be solidified space-time. His eyes held entire histories in their depths. What is this place? ZYX's voice echoed strangely, as if speaking through time itself. A memory, a possibility. The human homeworld exists in all states simultaneously now. The human gestured, and Earth dissolved into a million fractal versions. This is what happens when a species outgrows causality. ZYX's mind reeled as conflicting temporal signals assaulted their senses. The air smelled like both rust and ozone, like soil and vacuum. Why show me this? The human's form flickered through ages, child, elder, warrior, scholar. Because someone needs to remember us properly, not as monsters, not as ghosts, as what we really are. A console emerged from the floor. On it rested a single device, a quantum stabilizer capable of preserving memories across reality shifts. The choice is yours, the human said, already fading into temporal static. Forget everything, or become the first historian of the post-temporal age. Outside the observation window, the stars began rewriting themselves. The quantum stabilizer hummed with latent power, its surface reflecting 1,000 fractured versions of ZYX's face. Each reflection showed a different future, some terrified, some enlightened, some no longer recognizable as Volar. The weight of the decision pressed down like a collapsing star. ZYX's claws hovered over the device. If I do this, what happens to me? The human's voice came from everywhere and nowhere. You'll become an anchor point, the first mortal mind capable of perceiving US without going mad. Earth's kaleidoscope shifted behind them, showing cities built from math and oceans of pure thought. But you'll never unsee what you're about to witness. Silence stretched between them, measured in heartbeats and the pulse of dying galaxies. ZYX thought of the Senate's lies, of Kesha's fear, of entire civilizations living in carefully constructed ignorance. The cartographer's hand steadied. Show me. The moment ZYX activated the stabilizer, reality tore open. Knowledge flooded in not data, but raw understanding. ZYX saw humanity's ascendance not as history, but as a living thing. The first immortal humans weeping as they outlived their children. The great forgetting, self-imposed to protect lesser species. The endless vigil these post-humans kept at the edge of existence, shepherding reality itself. Most terrible of all, ZYX saw why the galaxy forgot. Mortal minds weren't built to comprehend beings who exist across all time simultaneously. The mere knowledge destabilized civilizations. The human watched with ancient eyes as ZYX collapsed under the weight of revelation. Now you understand our loneliness. ZYX's body convulsed as neural pathways rewrote themselves. The stabilizer glowed brighter, fusing with the cartographer's very DNA. When the seizure passed, ZYX stood changed, eyes reflecting starlight that hadn't existed for eons. What now? The question carried new depth, echoing slightly across dimensions. The human smiled sadly. Now you remember. And when the time comes, you'll help others see. As the vision faded, ZYX found themselves back in their quarters. The stabilizer now a permanent implant behind their left eye. On the desk lay a newly drawn star chart, the first accurate map of human space in centuries. Outside the viewport, the stars twinkled knowingly.